Hello, classmates. This is Michael Pritchard for EDLR 806, ISU Fall of 2006. The book that I am reporting on is called Saving the School, which was published in 2012 by Michael Brick. This book is more of a book that is about a community as a whole. A lot of the books that I've read in class so far have more to do with the leadership component. This book, however, has more to do with the people inside of the school working together. So, let's go a little more into it. The book is about a group of educators, staff members, students, social groups, religious groups, and community members that are all working on a common purpose to regain their school back. The school itself is being on the verge of shutdown due to poor academic performance on the state assessment in the state of Texas. Although Reagan High School has fell upon hard times, it was once a prestigious school in the 1960s and even garnered national recognition for its academics and accumulated state championships in football. At the peak of the school, there were nearly 1,500 students, which was the largest in the district. The school was well balanced with diverse populations. As each decade from the 60s passed on, the 70s and 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010, the glory days seemed to be an afterthought. This school was in the midst of many scandals. There were sexual assaults on their campus. There was a murder of a student in a stairwell by an estranged boyfriend in the early 2000s. This rocked the community and made front page nationally. Reagan became the school with a reputation of the school where the girl got stabbed. At the time of this book, the school had a 33% ELL population. Only 17% of students were college ready. 1 in 10 students dropped out. The sports teams there were laughable at best. Teenage pregnancies were very high. The state of Texas had also went after the middle schools that fed into Reagan High School. They had actually shut down one of them due to 5 years of low scores on the standardized test. Reagan High School, at the time of the writing of this book, had been in the same boat, but 4 years. And now the book starts in this make or break 5th year. The book is about characters, people, and the community, in which it is going to take a lot of persistence, relentlessness, and exhausting efforts just to keep their head above water. This book is about individuals and characters, and the main character of this story is Annabelle Garza. Annabelle, in July of 2008, became the 6th principal in 6 years at this economically disadvantaged and at-risk school in Austin, Texas. Annabelle's background story is one of its own. She grew up in a town where half of the residents did not have a high school diploma. She grew up with a father that was not noted for giving hugs, but more with expectations of hard work. Annabelle was an active student in high school. She was a member of the gymnastics and cheerleading squad. However, her senior year would change. Annabelle became pregnant and had to leave the cheerleading squad. Annabelle had lost the baby, and one of her teachers, Mr. Erickson, noticed that she wasn't quite her old self, the vibrant student. But he kind of put a spark in her to get her back going. Annabelle went away to college and tried to earn her teaching degree. While in college, she met a man and had a child this time. However, the father of her child died of a brain embolism around Christmas time. So Annabelle comes into this picture, becoming the principal at a school, and she is going to do everything that she can to make things work out for Reagan High School. This book is about individuals and characters, and the main character of this book is Annabelle Garza. She was the 6th principal in 6 years at Reagan High School when she accepted the position in July of 2008. She was working to make this economically disadvantaged and at-risk school The next character in the story is Candace Kaiser. Candace was a Christian lady who was wanting to work with kids, but in her studies was thinking more along the lines of pediatrician. So she may have gotten to education a little bit by chance, but she loved the role that she had. The way that she taught was based upon her church upbringing. So, Candace decided that she was going to go to Reagan High just because the salary paid a little bit more than the other side of town. So when Candace gets her first teaching assignment, she realizes that everyone in her class has the last name of Hernandez. She was very adamant that she was going to do the best she could to be a part of these students' lives. So she asked for every student's cell phone. She said that if there was an issue, she would call the students first and then the parents second. She also said that she would come to their house. She said her kids are her life. One thing that she does, if you see the picture in here, is she presented a video from a mission trip that she had went on to her classes. She talked about students in Africa wanted an education and that they need to take advantage because they're given something that others aren't. She also told them as they left class on the very first day that she loved them. It may seem like a small message, but it's something that it was very important. Another character in this story was Coach Derek Davis. Coach Davis had a background as a player at Reagan High School, and he wanted to kind of restore that glory and just help Reagan to shake the image that they had. Coach Davis took a group of young men and tried to work them very hard. Now, as mentioned earlier on, most of the sports teams at Reagan were not very good or very successful during this era. However, there was a basketball team that had a chance to be pretty good during this particular year. Coach Davis had actually been trying to get a group of students from the time they were middle school to come to Reagan, but it had just always been a tough sell. So Coach Davis is one of the key components in just helping revise this community in a certain way. The main student character in this story is Jaquan Daniels. Jaquan was kind of played out to be the student that a lot of other students gravitated towards, and not just in athletics. Although he was athletically successful, he was a football player, although the team was not very good. He was a basketball player, and we'll get a little bit more into that later on. He also helped out with the clubs in the school, the outside groups, the church clubs. He became like a student ambassador to try to help get other students to act the proper way. He went into middle schools to help Principal Garza to influence other students to come to Reagan High School, to talk about the good qualities that it had. So Jaquan was kind of the well-rounded student in the face of Reagan. As mentioned in the beginning of the presentation, this school had a ton of problems, a ton of issues that was going on. And Principal Garza and her assistant principal, Mr. Fowler, wanted to set the tone from the beginning of the school year. On the first day of school, there were 50 kids late to their first class. And both of them took these students in a room and talked about the repercussions and serious repercussions that they were going to put on them if they didn't take things seriously. Another issue that was going on with the school, as you can see in the slide, because it was so close to shutdown, within a year, they had lost almost 300 students in a span of 1 year. Another thing that went on with this school is they had what were called tardy sweeps. They were literally going to track down people at their homes that were not coming to school. Another thing that they did was rent a minivan on the days of the state test. Now, it may seem kind of silly, but they wanted to get more kids to think about college. So instead of just getting school lunch, there was a person in the school that would set up a hot dog and chili stand, but they would not just give it to the students until they heard the message. One of the teachers mentioned earlier, Mrs. Kaiser, she made individual standardized folders that were color coded based upon what standard that the student may be missing. And the school found a way to get 8 hours of tutoring for each standard that the students may have failed. Another thing that took place in the school was there was a lot of outside groups that came in to help. One of the groups was called the Mentoring XY Zone. As you can see, the XY Zone supports and guides adolescent males as they journey into manhood. It is a leadership development and peer support program that develops productive lives in high school age at-risk males. And that wasn't just the only groups. They wanted to have a lot that went on. A big thing within the community was the Austin Community Church had a thing called Young Life. It would be considerable to campus life and not just FCA, but similar things. And they helped out a lot. Another thing, there was not a lot of parent involvement at Reagan High School. And what they tried to do was get more parents involved so they would have some community dinners and some other things of that nature in order to just make them aware about the good things that were going on at Reagan. On this slide here, as you can see, now it's called Reagan Early College High School. The school has made a complete turnaround. There's also a tab on there for that shows their results for the past 4 or 5 years to just show the gradual growth. There's more attendance now. The school's just done a complete makeover. And once again, the main focus of the story is the people itself. These are the people that put in the numerous hours, the numerous times just to make this a better place. Now, how I would say that does this impact education? I think that sometimes we can get so caught up in policies and procedures and all this stuff, but the reality of it is the people that's going to drive our schools are the people that's within it. So I probably did a disservice because there's just so much good information within this book. I would suggest that you pick it up if you have a chance, because it is a good read. On a somber note, Michael Brick, the author of this book, who's also been a nationally known journalist for various newspapers, he had passed away this year at the age of 41 due to colon cancer. I actually put a link when he starts talking about this book, but I do think that his message will resonate for a while, and it can go to different communities, different corporations. But I believe that we all have stories within inside of our building, and it's more like this book than probably not. So just wanted to take the time just to kind of honor him, because I do think this was a book that, although by chance that I had to read it, but I do think it really hit home with me. So hope you like the book. Thanks a lot.